Hello, we're on page 361 doing the guided practice problems, and I'm doing problem number 17. For this problem, we are connecting with geometry. We have a leg of a right triangle is 6 inches longer than the other leg. The hypotenuse of the triangle is 25. And we're going to take that information and we're going to find out how long each side is. I already know the hypotenuse is 25, so what I'm really looking for are the legs. Well, what do we know from geometry? Let's talk about this right triangle here. I know one leg is longer than the other leg, so I'm going to try to draw it that way. And I should point out that I'm not drawing this to scale. So, this is my first leg. I'm going to call this leg 1. We'll call this leg 2. Now, the longer leg is 6 inches longer than the other leg. I don't know how long that leg is. I can use any letter to stand for it that I want. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to use L for leg though, because look, L's look like 1s. Those are confusing. So I'm going to fall back on my old standby. I'm going to call this one X. That means that leg 2 is going to be X plus 6, because it's 6 inches longer than the other leg. So I take that length and I add 6 to it. Excuse me. And it tells me that my hypotenuse is 25. All right, cool. Well, how do I use this? It's a right triangle. I remember leg 1 squared plus leg 2 squared equals hypotenuse squared. Now, I know you probably remember a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Why am I not using a, b, and c? Because we're using a, b, and c for the parameters for the quadratic. And like I said earlier, we run out of letters before we run out of numbers, or we run out of things to measure. So that's why there's some redundancy there. And I know you guys are smart enough that you're not going to confuse A, B, C in the right triangle with the A, B, C from the quadratic. Don't do that. That would be horrible. But check this out. I remember that the length of one leg, if I square it, the length of the other leg squared is going to equal the hypotenuse squared. So what I got? My first leg is x, so I get x squared. My second leg is x plus 6, so I get x plus 6 squared. And my hypotenuse is 25, so I get 25 squared. All right, don't panic. Got to simplify this. I have x plus 6 times x plus 6. Make a multiplication chart if you want to. Use FOIL if you want to. Do it in your head. This is x squared plus 12x plus 36. 25 squared is 625. That looks like a quadratic equation, but now I need to simplify it to be able to use it. X squared plus x squared is 2x squared. 12x, and then I get 36, but I'm going to subtract 625. I'm too lazy for that right now. 36 subtract 625, it's going to be negative 589. And there's my quadratic equation that I need to solve. This tells me that my a is 2, my b is 12, and my c is negative 589. Cool. So, b squared minus 4ac, I get 12 squared. Subtract 4 times 2 times negative 589. I know 12 squared is 144, but I'm going to multiply this times negative 8, and I get 4,712. Man, I hope this comes out nice. So my discriminant is going to be 4,856. All right, so now let's use my quadratic formula. Hopefully I got enough space here. I get negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. My b is 12, so I get negative 12. My b squared minus 4ac is 4,856. I think I made my radical too far. And my a is 2. All right. Let's do some calculator work. By the way, notice that it says to the nearest inch, which tells me that I'm going to have to round my answer off, which makes sense. All right, so I'm going to do the radical first. So square root of 4,856. Okay, so this is going to be, and I'm going to write it, but I'm going to do everything else on the calculator. Negative 12 plus or minus 69.7 over 4. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to do 69.7. I'll leave it on the calculator though. And I'm going to subtract 12. That's adding negative 12. And then I'm going to divide that by 4. So one of my answers could be x equals 14.4 inches. Now let's go back and let's do negative. Sorry, I'm using lamps to light this, and I kind of got a glare on the, from where I'm looking, I've got a glare on my screen. So that's why I'm hesitating a little bit. Okay, so now that's negative 69.7. I'm going to subtract 12, and I'm going to divide that by 4, which is negative 20.4. Okay. Since I'm dealing with a right triangle and one of the legs of the right triangle is just x, I can't use this one because I can't have negative distance. So this is what I think it's going to be, 14.4. All right. That means that my legs are going to be 14.4, 20.4, and my hypotenuse is going to be 25. It didn't ask that because they already gave it to me, 25. But the reason I wrote it is because I'm going to do this, and keep in mind there's a rounding error. 14.4 squared plus 20. Whoops, sorry. Forgot to delete 4 squared. Yeah. Okay. Keep in mind that there is a rounding error because it's not actually that. I just rounded off. But this should be close to 625, and it actually is. So it looks like my legs are going to be 14.4 and 20.4 for that one. And by the way, if you're wondering where I got the 20.4, I just added 6 to that one. Wow. There's a lot of math in that one. I love it. Bye.